Okay, this is part 2 of stress in human health. So what causes stress? Modern life is so different from our ancestral lifestyles that that's stressful. We're made to walk around in extended family groups, outdoors all day looking for food, mostly eating plant foods. The young people working with the old people, helping each other. Okay, that's normal life. I recommend the healthiest life is live like Adam and Eve, but keep your indoor heating and plumbing. Anyways, in the modern world, what do we got? Most people live in big cities with millions of strangers who they don't even know. And they do some type of modern job that they have to do. Okay, these primitive cultures, they don't even have a written alphabet, the vast majority of them. Okay, so reading books, working in some type of modern thing is a different trick for us. But a lot of times when people are stressed out in the modern world, problems with their relationships, somebody's sick that they care about, difficult long hour jobs, difficulties with finances, time pressure, lack of control over their own fate, lack of autonomy, unexpected changes in their life, uncertainty, unwanted changes, undesirable events, being betrayed, getting divorced by their spouse and having all their money taken away from them. Guys don't like that. Sometimes overwhelmed with too much physical work and not enough rest. You can overdo it with a workout like lifting weights. You got to get time between workouts to rest and sleep. Sleep deprivation is a common thing. Working a night shift stresses people out. Constant loud noises all day long is stressful for people. Foul smells, strobe lights, hostile people, physical danger. There's a lot of things you can be stressed out about. All right, well, anyways, what hormones are associated with what hormones are elevated in increased stress? Cortisol is the big one. Then also, again, the catecholamines, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system also gets activated, to increase blood volume, to raise blood pressure. Because you need more blood volume. If you're running, you need more circulating blood volume to perfuse all your muscles while they're active, and you vasodilated all those muscle capillaries. Okay, what are stress equivalents? Well, they're obvious. It's sleep deprivation, proceed to stress, elevates cortisol, catecholamines. Being post-surgical, physical burns and all that sort of thing, healing a surgical wound, having a big trauma. Big inflammation and infection can generate a stress response. Also, caffeine is a stress equivalent. That's the big one. Caffeine is a big joke. Okay, again, anything that's a popular commercial food, there's going to be a bunch of liars on the internet trying to promote it. You're going to see all these people telling you coffee is good for you, tea is good for you. Yeah, right. It's the same thing as amphetamine. Nobody would give an amphetamine to a child unless it was profitable. Okay, so nobody's going to sit here and tell you that the hormones of psychological stress are good for you on a routine basis unless it's profitable. Okay, and that's why even the so-called sleep experts will say, oh, it's fine to have 1, 2, or 3 cups of coffee a day. They have to say that or they don't get invited to the bro science channels or the other popular channels. If you tell the truth about health, then you can't sell anything. There's no money in telling people to live like Adam and Eve. So that's why, most of the internet so-called health experts, they're lying to you at least about a couple things because that's how they make their money and that's how they get invited around the popular circuits, okay? All right, so caffeine increases the same hormones, cortisol and catecholamines. Therefore, it's going to increase your heart rate. It's going to increase your blood pressure, okay? Increasing your blood pressure, that's not good for your health. It's going to increase your blood cholesterol level. It's going to increase your blood lipids. That means it's atherogenic. That's not good for your health. Okay, it's going to increase your clotting factors, thus it's prothrombotic. That's not good for your health on a daily, chronic, routine basis. Okay, it's a marketer's dream because people get addicted to it and they often go from 1 cup to 2 cups or even 3 cups a day. Okay, but this is the kind of thing, like if you can't get this, then you're stupid, okay? Go to some other channel. Don't waste your time. My channel's for smart people, okay? It's obvious. Chronic psychological stress is bad for you. Drinking caffeine every day is like chronic psychological stress, so that's not going to be good for you. Hyperlipidemia. High blood pressure, it increases the likelihood of diabetes because it causes insulin resistance. It raises your blood sugar and it puts fat in your blood. That's what worsens. That's worse than diabetes right there. Okay, increases your thirst. It has a diuretic effect, and not only a diuretic effect, it'll have you pee out your magnesium and some potassium. You don't want to do that. A lot of people are magnesium deficient, and that weakens your body's resistance to stress. Okay, the insomnia effect is bad because then that makes you sleep deprived and that raises your hormones. You can get yourself into a vicious cycle of being constantly sleep deprived and constantly drinking caffeine because you're tired. Okay, a large cup of coffee can double your adrenaline and your cortisol levels. Soda pop makers, they put salt into the soda pop because that makes you thirstier. So you buy more and you drink more. And then they hide it by putting more sweetener in there, like high fructose corn syrup. So it's all ways to get you addicted. There's a lot of little tricks in consumer products that they use to get you addicted. You know, like for example, I used to use chapstick, and I found out that it felt good when you put it on, but then my lips would be dried out a couple hours later. I'm like, why do my lips keep drying out? They would put a drying agent in there to make your lips dry out, so you put more on, and you get addicted to it. I go, screw this, and I stopped using it, and you know, my lips were fine. It took a couple days to overcome the habit of wanting it, but I was fine. Okay, so let's see here. When you're stressed out, caffeine also pushes you into limbic mentality. A limbic mentality means impulsive, emotional. Is your dog good at controlling his emotions? No, your dog doesn't care about controlling its emotions. It shows its emotions. What that means is you could be in some important conversation in your job, and somebody's screwing you over, giving you a bad deal, and you're pissed off, and you say something. No. It's usually better to just keep your mouth shut. Take a little shit sometimes, because it's better to take a little shit sometimes than to make a fuss over minor trivial things. And what I'm trying to say is a lot of caffeine on board, it's harder to control your impulsive behavior, not to say something rude that you don't want to say. So be aware of that. Okay, there's a good book called Caffeine Blues by a guy named Stephen Chernisky. It was written in 1988, but it does a good job of summarizing the research on caffeine. Okay, let's see. We talked all about the three-part brain of McLean. Let's see, what else? Yeah, caffeine, like I said, decreases your emotional resilience. You're more likely to make inappropriate comments that could piss off other people unnecessarily. And like I said to you, your cerebral cortex gets you, like somebody insults you kind of. I get insulted all the time in my viewer comments. It's not a big deal. Most of the time I take it as a laugh, and I'll respond back in kind with a little joke or no response or something, okay? But when you're pissed off and tired and exhausted, your threshold is weaker, and you're more likely to say something, go over the top, overreact. Okay. When you're well rested, it's easier to deflect the insult and see it simply as the ignorant ramblings of some buffoon, some half-retarded paleo keto carnivore who should be pitied rather than argued with. Okay. We talked about the loss of the magnesium, which worsens you already got vasoconstriction from the catecholamines and the cortisol, but it gets worse when you're magnesium deficient because you can't run your plasma membrane ATP pumps, which means you can't build up your sodium electrochemical gradient, which means you can't pump calcium out of the cytoplasm and your vascular smooth muscle cells as well, so you're going to be vasoconstricted, more hypertensive, so that's bad as well. Okay, what are the fast and slow parts of the stress response? In general, the faster parts, sort of the sympathetic autonomic nervous system component, getting up your epinephrine and noradrenaline, releasing adrenaline, noradrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, the same thing. Those tend to go faster into action, and they'll rapidly increase your blood flow to your muscles, get you going fast. You know how when something stresses you out, you perk up fast, and you need to. That keeps you alive. Our ancestors worried about encountering a predator out in the wild. Okay, so heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, cardiac output goes up, blood glucose, blood lipids. You have to get that glucose up fast so you got the energy to do something. A more slow response is release of cortisol into the blood, which gradually raises blood volume and contributes to getting your sugar up in your blood. Okay. Oh, one little interesting thing about why high-fat diets are so bad is one of the things they do is they cause insulin resistance. So, we talked about this before. I got entire lectures on insulin resistance and things that cause it and all the details of it. But the main thing that causes it is fat, especially sat fat. Okay, so you get insulin resistance. Now you've got hyperinsulinemia because the pancreas responds by producing more insulin to try to overcome the resistance. Well, hyperinsulinemia causes increased activation of the sympathetic autonomic nervous system. And again, you can get yourself into a little bit of a vicious cycle. That's why these things all go together. Being stressed out, overeating processed food, having activation of your sympathetic system, having worsening insulin resistance. So being fat, stressed out, hypertensive, and diabetic, they all go together. They all sort of feed on each other, and they tend to magnify each other. Okay. All right, so that'll be it for part 2 on stress. We'll be back with part 3 in just a moment.